Ever feel like the world of personal finance is just a d deliberately complicated, full of jargon, conflicting advice,
Mm.
almost like it's meant to keep you from really getting it?
Yeah, it can definitely feel that way sometimes.
Well, today we're cutting through all that noise. We're
Yeah.
doing a deep dive into The Simple Path to Wealth
Mm,
by J.L. Collins. And this book, it's not just about spreadsheets and numbers. It's really a path to genuine financial freedom.
absolutely. And this deep dive, it's really tailored for you, the members of the cash flow circle. You're this amazing community, learners, doers, all building wealth decision by decision.
Coming from all sorts of backgrounds, different situations, with the BondRentalProp YouTube channel as your home base.
Exactly. So our mission today is pretty clear for you all. We want to figure out who in the circle benefits most from this book. What are the absolute key lessons? What questions can you ask yourselves to maybe focus on the chapters that matter most to you right now?
Maybe what's a good way to actually tackle the book? Like how to explore it and take notes that you can actually use.
Yeah, structure the learning a bit.
And it all started, interestingly, with the author writing letters to his daughter. That kind of personal origin, it really grounds the message, doesn't it? Understanding money is crucial, yeah, but it shouldn't take over your life.
Right. His hope, and ours, I think, is just to make that financial path a bit smoother for everyone. Fewer mistakes,
Right.
more freedom, sooner.
Okay, so let's start unpacking that. Given how diverse the cash flow circle community is, who really stands to gain the most, like right away, from J.L. Collins's ideas?
Well, first off, definitely anyone who's currently dealing with debt. The book is incredibly blunt about it.
Doesn't pull punches.
Not at all. Calls debt the single most dangerous obstacle to building wealth. Even describes it as a vicious, pernicious destroyer.
Wow, strong words.
Yeah. And the advice is super clear. Debt over, say, 5% interest, pay it off ASAP. He really spells out how it just eats away at your lifestyle, chains you to your job.
Creates stress.
Huge stress. And it keeps your focus stuck on, past mistakes, your present pain, and the disaster looming ahead. It's heavy stuff.
That line about being no more than a gilded slave if your lifestyle matches or outpaces your income, that hits hard. It's not just the numbers, it's that mental weight, isn't it?
Totally. That psychological burden is just as real, and that applies no matter what your income level is within the circle.
Good point.
And then the book is also huge for anyone looking for real freedom. Options. What Collins famously calls FU money.
Right, which sounds aggressive, but it's not really about being rude, is it?
No, not at all. It's defined as having, enough money to be completely free of the demands of others and able to do exactly what you want with your life and time. Freedom.
He has that great story, right? I was saving up just $5,000.
Yeah, at age 25. And that small amount gave him the leverage, the confidence to negotiate 4 months off, unpaid, to go travel Europe. That's FU money in action. It's about having choices.
And maybe the most important thing, especially for everyone in the cash flow circle, this isn't just for high earners.
Absolutely not. That's a key myth the book busts.
How does he illustrate that?
Well, he contrasts this friend who couldn't make ends meet even with an $800,000 bonus
Wow.
with a hypothetical person earning just $25,000 a year. Now, if that person consistently saves 50%, that's $12,500 a year, and lives simply,
Which is tough, but possible.
right, they could actually reach financial independence needing about $312,500 based on the 4% rule in around 11 and a half years. It just shows the principles work, regardless of income. It's about the percentage you save, not just the dollar amount.
So, boiling it all down,
Yeah.
for everyone listening in the cash flow circle, what are those absolute core must-remember lessons, the things that should really stick?
Okay, the core of it all is that simple formula. You ready?
Lay it on us.
Spend less than you earn, invest the surplus, avoid debt. That's it. He
Yeah.
says, do only this and you'll wind up rich, not just in money.
It sounds so simple, but living it is the challenge.
It is, but it's the bedrock.
And it's about building that life of options, like we said, not just some far-off retirement goal. That story about him getting laid off after 9/11.
Oh, yeah, that's powerful. His 8-year-old daughter asks if they're poor. Now he doesn't have a job.
Right? And he could say, with confidence, no, we're just fine. We have money that's working for us instead.
That's FU, money giving peace of mind in a crisis. Huge.
Yeah.
And for a really sticky takeaway, you got to remember the monk and the minister parable.
Ah, yes. Refresh my memory.
So the minister sees the monk living really simply, just rice and beans. He says, hey, if you just learned to flatter the king, you wouldn't have to live like this.
Okay.
And the monk just replies, if you could learn to live on rice and beans, you wouldn't have to cater to the king.
Boom. That cuts right to it, doesn't it?
It really does. It flips the script. Are you chasing more money for a complicated life or simplifying your life to need less money and gain freedom? It's profound.
Okay, so the mindset shift is huge. But then how do we actually do it? What are the tools, the strategies, the how-to part?
Right, the nuts and bolts. The main thing, the absolute cornerstone, is investing in broad-based index funds. Specifically, he champions the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund, VTSAX, is the ticker people often use.
Why that one? Why so simple?
Well, Collins explains it beautifully. He says, fundamentally, the market always goes up over the long term, obviously. It's a wild and rocky ride, short term, sure.
Yeah, feels rocky sometimes.
Totally. But it's self-cleansing. Bad companies fail and drop out, new successful ones get added, so there's really no upside limit. And VTSA holds like 3,700 companies. You own a tiny slice of almost the entire U.S. public market.
Okay, but what about crashes? That's the big fear, right? He even has that chapter title like, a major market crash is coming.
Yep. And even famous economists can't save you. He puts it right out there.
But then he says, it doesn't matter. How does that work?
It really boils down to psychology. This is crucial. Most people lose money because they try to time the market. They get greedy, then they panic sell.
Buy high, sell low. The classic mistake.
Exactly. Or they try picking individual stocks or pay high fees for active managers who usually underperform anyway. They end up focusing on the foam, the day-to-day price swings, the scary headlines.
Instead of the beer.
Instead of the beer, yeah. The actual underlying businesses making money over time.
So what's the antidote?
Collins calls it toughness. He says, look, everybody makes money when the market is rising, but what determines whether it will make you wealthy is what you do during the times it is collapsing.
Staying the course when everything feels like it's falling apart.
Precisely. He shares his own mistake, his embarrassing failure of nerve in the '87 crash. He sold near the bottom.
Ouch.
Big ouch, costly lesson. But it taught him the toughness he needed to ride out 2008 without panicking. And if you look at the Dow's history, like 120 years, 2 world wars, depression, countless disasters, the long-term trend is undeniably up. Toughness wins.
That history perspective is powerful. Okay, so you get the index fund, you develop the toughness. Now, where do you put the money? All these accounts, 401ks, IRAs, it's like alphabet soup.
Huh. Yeah, I can seem that way. Collins simplifies it. Think of them as just buckets that hold the investments. They're not the investments themselves. They're just containers with different tax rules.
Okay, containers. So is there a preferred order for filling these buckets?
Yes, definitely. He gives a clear hierarchy. Start with any tax-advantaged accounts you have access to. And rule number 1, always put enough into your 401k or 403b to get the full employer match.
Because that's...
Free money. You absolutely don't leave free money on the table.
Makes sense. And then he talks about HSAs, health savings accounts. These seem interesting, like a hidden gem.
Oh, they are fantastic, often overlooked. He calls it a triple tax advantage bucket. Can I break that down quickly?
Please do. That sounds useful for the circle.
Okay, so 1, contributions are tax deductible, meaning they lower your taxable income now. If you do it through payroll, you even avoid Social Security and Medicare taxes on that money. Huge. 2, the money grows completely tax-free inside the HSA. 3, withdrawals are tax-free if used for qualified medical expenses now or decades later.
Triple tax-free. Wow.
And bonus. After age 65, you can take money out for any reason, and it's just taxed like a traditional IRA withdrawal, so it can become a retirement account too. Plus, a spouse can inherit it. Super versatile.
Okay, so you figure out the buckets. The book have that really practical case study, right? The 26-year-old.
Yeah, that makes it really concrete. He's got a $70 pay salary, $35K starting capital, no debt, saving 24%.
Yeah.
Collins says, basically, go all in on VTSAX. Because he's young, he's in the wealth accumulation phase.
And the plan involves automating things. How does that connect with dollar cost averaging? People talk about that a lot.
Great connection. The plan is all about automation. Max out the 403b. First, get the match. Then fund a deductible IRA. That's where you get a tax deduction now. Pay taxes later in retirement. Then any extra savings go back into the 403b up to the limit or into a regular taxable account.
And automating that just makes it happen.
Exactly. Takes emotion out. Builds consistency. And that consistency is dollar cost averaging, basically. You're investing the same amount regularly from your paycheck.
So you buy more shares when prices are low, fewer when they're high.
Precisely. It averages out your cost over time. Now, Collins actually prefers lump sum investing. If you have a big chunk of money statistically, markets go up more often than down. But he totally gets the psychology. He says if you're too nervous for a lump sum, dollar cost averaging is fine. It's just adjusting your investing to your psychology rather than the other way around.
I like that framing. It's pragmatic.
Yeah. And the case study even shows how bumping savings to 50% would massively speed up that 26-year-old's path to FI. It's all about that savings rate and consistency.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, shifting gears a bit. Let's fast forward. You've done it. You've reached financial independence. You've got your FU money. Now what? How do you manage it? Live off it.
Right, the next phase. This is where the wealth preservation portfolio comes in. The allocation shifts. Instead of 100% stocks.
Which is fine for growth, but maybe too volatile for living off of.
Exactly. So he suggests shifting to maybe 75% stocks, still VTSAX, 20% bonds, he mentions VBTLX, the Vanguard Total Bond Market Fund, and maybe 5% cash.
During bonds.
Bonds generally smooth out the ride. They're less volatile than the stocks. And VBTLX can act as a hedge against deflation, adding stability. Then, for actually spending the money, the famous 4% rule is the guideline.
Ah, yes, a 4% rule.
Yeah.
Crucial concept. But Collins adds caveats, right? About flexibility and especially about fees.
Huge caveats. The 4% rule itself comes from solid research, the Trinity study. It looked at historical data and found that withdrawing 4% of your portfolio's initial value, adjusted for inflation each year, had a very high success rate, like 96% over 30-year periods, even through tough markets. Often, people ended up with more money than they started with.
That sounds pretty bulletproof.
Oh, but Collins hammers this point. If you're paying 1-2% fees to active mutual fund managers and investment advisors, forget it. Those cheerful assumptions wind up in the trash heap.
Because the fees just eat away at the principal.
They devour it over time. That 1-2% might sound small, but compounded year after year, it massively reduces the odds of the 4% rule working. Simplicity and low cost are key. And sensible flexibility just means, hey, the market tanks and your portfolio drops significantly, maybe tighten your belt for a year or two. Don't blindly withdraw 4% of a much smaller number.
Got it. Low fees, stay flexible. What about taxes and retirement? He mentions RMDs, required minimum distributions. Sounds ominous.
Yeah, the ugly surprise at the end of the tax-deferred rainbow. Basically, once you hit age 73, the book might say 70.5. The age changed. The IRS forces you to start taking money out of your traditional 401ks and IRAs.
And the surprise is?
The surprise is that those withdrawals are taxed as ordinary income. And sometimes the required amount can be large enough to push you into a higher tax bracket than you planned for in retirement. It's a tax bomb waiting for some people.
Oof. Any way to defuse that bomb?
He suggests strategies like doing Roth conversions during your lower income years, maybe between retiring and starting RMDs. You pay the tax then, move the money to a Roth IRA, and then it grows and comes out totally tax-free later, avoiding RMDs on that portion. Planning helps.
Good tip. And Social Security. What's the thinking there?
Simple and conservative. Plan like it won't be there. Consider it a bonus if it is. He thinks it'll likely be tinkered with, but survive in some form, but don't rely on it for your core financial independence plan.
Prudent advice.
And one last cool thing for the doers in the cash flow circle, thinking about giving back. He talks about how to give like a billionaire, even if you're not one.
How does that work?
Using things like donor-advised funds. He mentions the Vanguard charitable program. You can start one with maybe $25,000, get an immediate tax deduction, donate appreciated stocks without paying capital gains tax.
Yay, more.
Yeah. And you can even roll RMDs directly to the charity tax-free. It's a really efficient way to handle charitable giving.
That's fantastic, turning financial freedom into a tool for impact. Okay, this brings up a really important point for everyone listening. How do you, the listener, figure out which parts of this book, which chapters are most relevant to your specific situation right now?
Great question. Collins actually gives you the framework. You need to ask yourself some key questions. First, are you mainly in the wealth accumulation stage, meaning you're working, saving, building? Or are you in the wealth preservation stage, living off your investments or getting close? That's the biggest fork in the road. It dictates your main asset allocation, mostly stocks for accumulation, adding bonds for preservation.
What else should you ask yourself?
Okay, next, what's your real risk tolerance? Like how much market craziness can you actually handle without freaking out and selling? Be honest with yourself.
Crucial for that toughness factor.
Absolutely. Then, Are you carrying debt, especially high interest debt? If yes, that probably becomes priority number one before aggressive investing.
Makes sense.
Also, what's your income and tax situation right now? That helps decide between things like Roth accounts, pay tax now, versus traditional accounts, pay tax later. And finally, how flexible is your lifestyle? Can you cut back if you need to?
So really taking stock of your current reality.
Exactly. Those answers will point you straight to the most relevant parts of the book for you.
And once you know where to focus, what's a good way to actually, dig in? How should people structure their reading and note-taking to make it stick and be actionable?
Well, the book flows really well, so reading it straight through first gives you the big picture, the philosophy. I'd recommend that.
Get the context.
Right. But then maybe go back and really focus on the chapters that speak to those self-assessment questions you answered. And for notes, don't just write down what he says. Try to capture the why.
Understanding the reasoning.
Yeah. Why index funds? Why is debt so bad? Why is toughness important? Understanding the why builds conviction, makes it much more likely you'll stick with the plan.
And then make it practical.
Yes. For all you doers in the circle, create a personal action list as you read. Specific concrete steps. Maybe it's set up emergency fund, or automate 401k to get full match, or open Vanguard IRA, or make a debt payoff plan. Tangible things.
So it's not just theory, it becomes your actual plan.
Precisely. That's how you turn the knowledge into results.
It really comes back to that core message then. Control what you can, spending, saving, keeping investments simple and low cost. And develop that mental toughness, that conviction, to ignore the noise and stay the course.
Yeah, and having the humility Collins talks about, knowing that anyone can be fooled and ultimately nobody will care for your money better than you, taking ownership.
What a fantastic framework. The simple path to wealth.
Yeah.
It really does cut through the complexity, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Avoid debt, spend less than you earn, invest the rest simply.
It's powerful, especially for everyone in the cash flow circle and watching on the BondRentalProp YouTube channel.
And like Cullen says,
It's never too late. Doesn't matter if you're just starting, aiming for FI early or closer to traditional retirement. The principles work. Your future really does start right now.
the simple path is laid out. So the question for you is, what's the first step you'll take on your journey to financial freedom?